Hello, I'm Daniel. I want to give a talk today from the 37 Practices of a Bodhisattva. And this is a set of teachings based on advice we can do about unleashing our full potential. So it's about learning how to be more mindful, more compassionate, more aware, and to move through the world in a more awakened way. That's the intention of these teachings. And I've been doing it as a series. There's 37 of them, so I'm trying to do 37 episodes of this. Some of them are on the short end, or some of them are on the very long end, and that's okay. This one is about a verse called Bringing Decline Onto the Path. And I want to just note, you can do these and listen to these in any order. It does not matter. This happens to be number 18, but you can start at number 18. You can start anywhere. It's like a circle. They all are fine. Okay? So, bringing decline onto the path. Even if I am deprived of a livelihood, constantly belittled by everyone, and stricken by a severe illness or demonic influence, it is the practice of bodhisattvas to take upon oneself all the suffering and evil of all beings without becoming depressed. That is really heavy, right? It is the practice to take on of a bodhisattva to take on the suffering of all beings. And what is a bodhisattva? A bodhisattva is just us, people who are trying to unleash our full potential. Because we're trying to be awake and compassionate, because we're trying to make the world a better place, because we're trying to learn how to be wise, we are aspiring bodhisattvas. That's a good way to put it. Aspiring bodhisattvas. So, when I think about this, I sort of think about this blues song, Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. It was written in the 1920s by Jimmy Cox, but it was covered and made famous by Eric Clapton in 1970. And it's about fair weather friends. It's about people that are around all the time when you're successful, but when you're less successful, they're kind of gone, right? And when we're desperately ill or emotionally suffering, I think about what they call hitting rock bottom. And this is about when we're at our worst spot. So I do think about that. I think about, the people that are around when we're at our lowest and the people that are gone when we're at our lowest. I think about that. When things go bad, when we're poor and we're struggling, it can be really easy to develop an "oh, poor me" attitude. It can be easy to get overwhelmed and to give up. In this way, we tend to make bad situations worse. We tend to sort of freak out and make the situation worse than it was in the first place. And a lot of the time, our reaction makes things at an order of magnitude worse because we just freak out. So I want to think about learning how to expand our attention beyond our limited selves so we can sort of see these difficulties in a different way. If we start thinking about the happiness of others and about ourselves as part of a whole, then that can help, because the truth is we are one. And if we can expand our awareness beyond just this individual person that we call I, then we won't be so discouraged. We won't be so torn down. We struggle a lot with being torn down, with letting things ruin our day and get to us, right? And I'm reminded of a story I really like that I have told many times, and it's about a man that had some horses, and I'm going to tell it now. It's a Zen story, and this is how it goes. There was this farmer, and he lived with his one adult son, and they had a horse farm. And one day, the farmer's best horse escaped and ran away. And the farmer's neighbors came and they said, "Oh, it's so sad that you lost your horse. It's so sad. We feel so bad for you." And the farmer said, "Well, maybe. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. I don't know what the results are of this." And so the neighbors, they were just like, "Well, this guy's really weird." And they left. And the next day, the farmer's horse comes back, and there are 6 other horses with it. 6 other wild horses have come back with this horse. So suddenly, the farmer has 6 extra horses, free horses, right? And the neighbors come over again, and they're like, "What good luck! You've got more horses! You're so lucky! We should all have such good fortune." And the farmer, again, he says, "Well, maybe it's good. Maybe it's bad. I don't know what the result of this is." And again, the neighbors are like, "Man, this guy's weird," and they leave. And the next day, the farmer's son is riding one of these horses, and he falls off and breaks his leg. And this is many years ago, and breaking your leg was something that meant you were laid up for a long time. I guess it still does now, but back then, like, a lot of people would just get a broken leg and they, you might die. And so the neighbors come again. And they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry your son broke his leg. This is such a terrible tragedy." And the farmer, again, he says, "Well, maybe. I don't know. It could be good or bad. I don't know the results of this." And I like to think that his son was not present when he said that, because that sounds like a horrible thing for your dad to say, right? So, the next day, the military has come to the town, and they're drafting all the young men. And they come to the farmer's house, and they see the son has a broken leg and is laying down resting, and they leave. They can't draft him into the army, right? And an important aspect of this story is everyone from this village that was drafted into the army died. So if the farmer's son had gone, very likely he would have died. But because he had the misfortune to fall off a horse, he lived. And so what does that lesson teach us? It teaches us that we don't always know what's happening, and we can sort of think of the vagaries of life in a different way and just try to be present with our experience, and just, instead of falling apart when things are hard, instead of clinging quite so tightly to our likes and dislikes and making our problems worse, we can just say, "Well, maybe, I don't know what's going to happen." And we can sort of have, instead of a "why is this happening to me" view that I think a lot of us have right now, "why is this happening to us," right? We can have a, "Well, right now it's like this, what can I do to make it better?" That's the attitude we want to try to have, is, right now it's like this, what can I do to make it better? Right now it's like this, what can I do to make it better? So, and that sort of is the virtue that we call equanimity, that is just getting through the storms of life without falling apart. It's a very powerful virtue, and it's very helpful in life. So that's what I wanted to share for today. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this talk, and have a good day.